Hey everybody, in today's video, we're going to look at Ronnie Coleman from 2007 versus Jay Cutler from 2013. I'm going to call this series the worst of the best because I'm going to be putting the best bodybuilders of all time's worst versions against each other. In 2007, Ronnie Coleman presented a package that was a shell of his former self. He came to redeem himself from 2006, where he lost his Olympia title, but he ended up making a terrible showing of himself, coming in really off. Jay Cutler in 2013 also came back from a hiatus in 2012, and he presented a respectable physique, but nothing compared to his prior Olympia winning ones. I'm going to make a part 2 of this video, and in that video, it will be the 2020 version of Phil Heath and the 1997 version of Dorian Yates. And the winner of that video will go against the winner of this video in the finals for the best, worst version of the best bodybuilders. Okay, that's enough of my rambling about what's going to be in the video. So let's move into the front double bicep pose. And I'm really not impressed with either man. I mean, first of all, we look at the arms, and I think Ronnie Coleman has the advantage. I mean, even though he has a asymmetry throughout his left and right arm, I think that his smaller arm is around the same size as Jay Cutler's arms in general. And also, Jay Cutler has an asymmetry in the bicep. I think Ronnie Coleman takes the arms. Now, if we look at the midsections, I would give this one to Jay Cutler, even though neither man really impresses me. The lats would also go to Jay Cutler. I think they flare out more and create a better V taper. And the quads would go to Ronnie Coleman. However, I think that Ronnie Coleman presents a better upper body here because he has those really dominant arms in this shot. Jay Cutler doesn't have the same amount of muscle in the upper body, in my opinion, and I think the conditioning through the legs looks better for Ronnie. So I'm going to give Ronnie the point in the front double bicep pose. Jay Cutler fares better in the front lat spread pose. I think he fills out this pose well and looks very balanced and proportional. Not to mention, he looks very symmetrical as well. Even though he looks a little soft in comparison to Ronnie Coleman in the chest and shoulders, Ronnie Coleman's lack of lats really, can't win him a pose like this. I will say Ronnie is winning in the legs. Jay Cutler's legs still do look undersized, but they look fine here. Ronnie is losing in the calves, and Jay Cutler is destroying him in that aspect, but the judges don't really count the calves. But I will say, Ronnie Coleman's chest, shoulders, and arms look amazing here, but this shot is about the lats, and I would give that to Jay. Jay has better filled out lats, and Jay also has a better midsection and silhouette, so I'm going to give Jay Cutler the point in the front lat spread. I really like how Ronnie Coleman displays this side chest pose here. He has a lot of dense muscle in the upper body, and he looks ripped and conditioned as well. And his side leg presents well here too, looking very conditioned and big. Jay Cutler's side leg is really big too, but it doesn't seem to have the same level of conditioning that Ronnie Coleman presents. And Jay Cutler's upper body looks a bit more soft and watery, and also less dense. So I'm going to give Ronnie Coleman the point because he just has more muscle overall. And Jay Cutler really can't outmuscle nor outpose Ronnie Coleman in this shot. Ronnie Coleman just looks really good here, and Jay Cutler does not look as good. The side tricep is an interesting pose because at one point in time, this was probably one of Jay Cutler's best poses and one of Ronnie Coleman's worst. I don't think that Ronnie Coleman looks too bad here for Ronnie Coleman. His arm looks pretty good, his shoulder is striated, his midsection is tight, his chest is really big and full, and his side leg presents really nicely here. But I think that Jay Cutler presents a better overall package. His arm appears to be just as big from the side as Ronnie Coleman's. His shoulder is striated, his chest, while not as big, is rather big, and his midsection flows amazingly. And his side leg looks really good here, much better than it did in the side chest pose. The conditioning seems to be in favor of Ronnie Coleman. However, the overall display and the advantage in the actual tricep itself for Jay Cutler will win him the point. The rear lat spread really is a sad pose for me to judge because at one point in time, both of these men had two of the craziest rear lat spreads ever. Ronnie Coleman really saddens me here. I mean, he looks like a real shell of his former self. His back is melting away. I mean, his traps just fall into his lower back and just disintegrate, and his lats are just disappearing. He really has no more width in those lats. Although his legs look big from behind and his hamstrings are diced, his glutes don't have the same wow factor and sting that they used to, and his calves are completely melted away here. Although Jay Cutler has some width over Ronnie Coleman in the back, he also has no lower back. Now, Jay Cutler has the advantage in the hamstring department and the glutes, I think, because they appear to be more conditioned, and he definitely wins in the calves. I think that Jay Cutler is just more proportionate overall. Even though he lacks the lower back, he is wider, in my opinion, and looks a little bit better than Ronnie Coleman does. I mean, Jay Cutler is falling apart, but in less places. So I think I'm going to give this rear lat spread to Jay Cutler. In the rear double bicep, I think that Jay Cutler looks more conditioned and more proportional and symmetrical here. Ronnie Coleman is literally missing a lat. Now, Ronnie Coleman may be winning in the actual arm size, but I think Jay Cutler is winning in the conditioning of the arms and the symmetry, of course. Now, Jay Cutler lacks the density that Ronnie Coleman has in the overall back, but the symmetry puts him over the edge. Jay Cutler is also winning in the lower body, being more conditioned in the hamstrings and having better calves. Ronnie Coleman's legs are huge from behind, and so are his glutes, but they just don't look conditioned or ripped in this shot. Jay Cutler has better conditioning, better symmetry, better proportions, not lacking really, any body parts, not missing any body parts, I should say, even though he lacks a lower back, and just looks better, in my opinion. So he's going to win this shot. The abs and thighs is a no-brainer for me. I mean, even though Ronnie Coleman has some humongous quads, Jay Cutler's quads look good here and are strided to a T, which I really like. And Jay Cutler has a better midsection, even though both midsections seem to be around the same width. Jay Cutler just has better abdominal development. His obliques are striated and ripped, and so are his abs. And Ronnie Coleman really has a washed out midsection here. I think that Ronnie Coleman has a better V taper in this shot, though. I mean, look at his lats. They flare out more than Jay Cutler's in this shot. So, although Ronnie Coleman has some good quads and a good V taper here, he does not have a good midsection, and Jay Cutler has striated and very good quads, a good midsection, and a decent V taper. So I'm going to give this shot to Jay Cutler. In the most muscular pose, Ronnie Coleman displays muscularity reminiscent of some older years. He looks really good here. His quads look good, his arms look good, his chest is full, and his midsection looks in check. While Jay Cutler doesn't look too bad here, he doesn't really have the same graininess, conditioning, and muscle maturity that Ronnie Coleman has. His quads look good, they're ripped and striated, his midsection looks in check, and his arms look fine. But if we look at the chests themselves, Ronnie Coleman's chest is really dense, and his shoulders are huge and striated. In comparison, Jay Cutler's chest and shoulders don't seem to be as good. His chest isn't as full as Ronnie Coleman's nor as dense, and his shoulders and arms don't look as grainy and hard. Now, his legs obviously look good and striated, but I don't think that's enough to beat Ronnie Coleman's dense muscularity. I mean, Ronnie Coleman just looks phenomenal in this shot. You really can't beat this package that he brought here in the most muscular. I mean, he looks very good and reminiscent of his older physiques, like I said. Although Ronnie Coleman looked phenomenal in that last most muscular shot, our winner for tonight is Jay Cutler. I had Cutler winning the front lat spread, the side tricep, the rear lat spread, the rear double bicep, and the abs and thigh shot. Coleman took the front double bicep, the side chest, and the most muscular. However, I believe the rear lat spread and the rear double bicep were very close. So that means that Jay Cutler won this comparison 5-3. Let me know what you guys thought of this video down below and comment any future, video ideas. I always am open to them and I'd love to hear what you guys want me to make. Now, please consider liking as well. Really means a lot to me. And if you really, really liked, please consider subscribing. Means a lot to me as well. Now, I really want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.